Everyone, I would just like to take this moment to thank you all for coming and to the school for setting all this up. Thank you again, Debbie. This is your second or third year helping along with the Saleacom presenters.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And to introduce Liviu-Cătălin and Teresa, Morlà, and Liviu's last name is Mara, which in Māori can be friend or gardener. So in my mind, I always call him the friendly gardener. I think this is a really pertinent topic for both faculty on education and social work, because it's bringing together these ideas of ghetto schools, and for us as social workers is how can we be involved with our schools in ways that can really create good change, and for education as teachers of what can we do when we're within schools, or exemplars of what schools can do. So I will hand over to the both of you. It's a pleasure to have you here in New Zealand. They're here for another month, so kia ora everyone. Thank you.
Kia ora te kura. Tēnā koutou whae te kawe hau, me te puna wananga, whae Debbie Spinner, me te kura tauwhiro tananga. Ngā mihi mō tā koutou whakaki I a maua. Next, we would like to thank Professor Aitor Gomez, who is the lead researcher of Saleacom Project, for bringing us the opportunity to be here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and present this this project, because the presentation today is within the Saleacom Project. And finally, I'd like to thank all of you for being here today, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. So we are, well, you presented us already. We are, Teresa and I, are students at the University of Liviu-Cătălin in Tarragona, that's in Catalonia, in Spain. And yeah, we are PhD students at the university, and I will start my presentation. Today, our talk will be about a ghetto school in Catalonia that transformed into a learning community, and from there, its results changed dramatically. Okay. So, as I was saying before, learning communities is one of the pillars of our project. This is the title of the project, Overcoming Inequalities in Schools and Learning Communities, Innovative Education for a New Century. So this is the structure of the presentation for today. First of all, we will introduce what learning communities are, and we will also talk about the successful educational actions, which are the actions that are carried out at a learning community. I mean, a school that is learning community, that means that they implement these successful educational actions. That makes a school to be learning community, applying these actions, successful educational actions. The second part will be an overview of the project of Saleacom. We'll do that very briefly. And the third part and final part of the presentation will be the case study of this particular school that changed into a learning community, and we'll see the results. Okay, and yeah, and here Teresa and I will bring our experience in this school as a volunteer in two of the successful educational actions that we will see. Okay, so the learning communities are a type of school that involve community within its spaces. Okay, it's a scientific project that is based on implementing these successful educational actions that are based in dialogic learning. We'll see what dialogic learning is. Okay, in dialogic learning, and gives a particular attention to two elements that facilitate learning in information society, which are interactions and community participation. Okay, so dialogic learning, as I said before, is the framework from where the successful educational actions are being carried out, and in learning communities. Okay, dialogue. Through dialogue, we can change our relationships, we can change our knowledge, and we can change our context. Thus, the dialogic learning occurs in interactions that increase instrumental learning, that favor the creation of personal and social sense, that are guided by the principle of solidarity, and in which equality and difference are compatible and enriching values. Okay, we'll see that how it works after that. Here you can see a map, a recent map with the learning communities that are all around the world. Okay, so we can see, for example, the number and the types of schools. So we have, for example, in Brazil, we have 180 learning communities. In Mexico, we have 128, 126 in Spain. Okay, so this is the number of centers that have transformed and been learning and working with the methodology of learning communities. Okay, so as we've seen before, these learning communities are implemented in different contexts, and they can be both public or private centers. At any level, it can be at early childhood, primary, secondary, universities, as we've seen before. Okay, some countries are universities as well, or adult education centers. They can be small centers or large urban centers, and with a diversity of socioeconomic status and cultural background. Okay, so they can be implemented everywhere. The learning communities have been studied in a European project funded by the European Commission. I don't know if you're all aware of, but the European Commission has these research framework programs, which are very large programs of financement, and they finance research on different topics that are priorities for Europe. So in the sixth framework, they funded this project called Included Strategies for Inclusion and Social Cohesion in Europe from Education. This project had partners from 14 countries. Okay, and in this project, they were developed the successful educational actions. Okay, this concept that we'll see what it means. Just to finish with one thing about the European Union, after the ending of the sixth framework program, they made a report and they selected 10 projects that had brought a value to the society, through the results of its research. And we see it included as being included as one of these projects, and this is the only one from the social sciences and humanities. The rest are from medicine, from technology. Okay, so this is an acknowledgement that the European Union gave to include it. Okay, so this is from the results of this project of Included. Included has identified schools or centers that have applied good practices which are actions that obtain good results. Okay, then there are other centers that apply what it is called best practices, which are actions that obtain the best results in a particular context for a particular reason and improving one particular aspect. And after that, we have the successful educational actions, which are the basis of the learning communities. And these actions obtain the best results in any context, under any condition, if applied as described. And these actions lead to the improvement of the achievement of students and improvement of the coexistence in these centers. Okay? So these successful educational actions, what they have is they can be implemented everywhere, and that's why we've seen earlier now the countries and the settings. Okay, so these are the concrete successful educational actions that were described and included. Okay, the first two, dialogical literary gatherings and interactive groups, will lead them for the final part, because we're going to explain our personal experience in working in these two actions. Okay, the next one, the family education. For example, in our school, we have there were many parents who did not have the certificate of the compulsory school in Spain. Okay, so that was a problem because, well, they couldn't get a job if they didn't have that certificate or if they had any other aspiration. So the school set up a training for these parents to prepare these exams and achieve these certificates. Educative participation of the community. Again, another need that we detected, that the community detected, was that that they need to create something in summer so children could attend some learning activities, although they had a summer break. So this year in July, throughout all the month of July, they done a summer school where children would go every day, and in the morning we'll do some homework and learning activities, and after that they will also do some educational games. Next one, there is the dialogical conflict prevention model. Okay, for example, one of the basic norms that that are in every learning community is the zero tolerance with violence. Okay, so it's not accepted under any circumstance. And the dialogic training for teachers, we have an example of one seminar, dialogic seminar created by the school teachers in Catalonia. It's called Odisea, where they do monthly gatherings, they do readings, they talk about issues related to their profession as a teachers. Sometimes they do other activities, they invite keynote speakers from the world of education, and they have these debates. Okay, and all this comes from the necessity of teachers. That's why they have this. They've created this space. Okay. Well, if you have any doubt or you want to know something more about this, later on we can talk about it. Okay, we can ask. Okay, now we go to the second part of the presentation, the overview of the Saleacom Project. Okay, so these are the objectives of Saleacom. The main objective of Saleacom is to create an international network, to create a global program of successful educational actions to be implemented across educational systems. No? Again, it's trying to create this global network to share experiences and how the educational system can be improved everywhere and include all the groups. Yeah, these are the rest of the objectives. They are long. Yeah. Okay, so the dynamics of this project consisting in the secondments of research and innovation for staff, which is staff exchanges between the universities that are part of the project. Okay, so in the project we have 6 countries. We have New Zealand, Brazil, Hungary, Spain, United States of America, and Australia, and one non-academic institution, which is Roma stipend. That I think it means Path to Freedom, and this is a Roma Women Association in Catalonia. Okay, and yes, so the settlements happen between these partner institutions and the exchanges of. Okay, so here we have the map with the logos. As you can see, the leading university is Universidad Rovira i Virgili in Tarragona, where Professor Aitor Gomez, the leader, is, and also where Teresa and I are doing our PhD at this university. And then you can see that this is funded by Marie Curie Actions. If we go back to the research framework program of the European Union, this is from the 7th program, research framework program, and they had 4 things, and one of these themes was people, and under this thing they were having these Marie Curie Actions, which its main objective is to create excellent researchers, excellent researchers, promote excellence in researchers and staff training. And then, well, you have the rest of the university, the 6 universities involved, and from Qatar. Okay, so, and every member from this from the project had an area in which they had an expertise, and these are like the contributions that they were making. And we can see that our university from Spain, we had the SIAs, the Successful Educational Actions in the learning communities. We had affirmative actions in Brazil, the culturally responsive leadership and indigenous populations from New Zealand, generative teachers serving culturally and linguistically complex classrooms from the US. We have two related to Roma people from Hungary, the educational policies aimed at overcoming Roma exclusion and overcoming educational participatory and labor exclusion of Roma women. And from Australia, we had the exceptional teachers in high poverty areas programs. Okay, so all these are more or less initiatives or research that was carried out in these members. Okay, by these members in their own countries. So this is where we set up the network. Okay, and now I will go to the case study of Mediterrani School, the school that we mentioned before and we were talking about. So this is the Mediterrani School. This is the entrance. Here they do early childhood and primary education. Okay, so here's the situation of the school in the map. Okay, so Catalonia is the red square we have there, and that point would be Camp Prat, which is the name of the neighborhood where this school is situated. Okay, and why did we choose this school in the project, to participate in the project? Because this is also one of the case studies that is in Saleacom. Well, first of all, this school is situated in a high poverty area. So we see that Camp Prat is a neighborhood of Tarragona, but is like 5 kilometers away, more or less. And it's kind of separated. I think it's a highway passing between Tarragona and the neighborhood. So it's really isolated, and the transport and infrastructure are not that great at all. Okay, I would say it's quite bad. So yeah, we see that in 2011 the poverty rate in Camp Prat reached 48.1%, while in Tarragona city the average was 19.8. Okay, so it's quite different. Also in Camp Prat we have that the majority of the population are Roma and people from Morocco. Yeah, so these are vulnerable groups. And low socioeconomic status, high employment rate among the community. Okay, so it was very difficult context. Regarding the school, we have that the primary school, the composition were 67% were Roma students and 27% were immigrants. Most of them came from Morocco and other northern African countries, and some from South America or from Central and Eastern Europe. But it was like a concentration of poverty, you know, as like reflecting the situation of the neighborhood. You know? Regarding the school, before becoming a learning community, applying these successful educational actions, the situation was also reflecting somehow the situation from the neighborhood. There was a low expectation among teachers regarding the families and the students' achievement. There were high levels of absenteeism and school failure. There were problem of coexistence, okay, inside the school and in the neighborhood, and also there was zero family participation involvement within the center. Okay, so it was quite difficult. So the situation, as I said, the neighborhood, the dynamics that we have in neighborhood, also had an effect in the dynamics that they were in the school, and it reached the point that that the school board decided they couldn't carry on like that, and they had to do a change because that wasn't going anywhere. And there was where the professor, the staff, and the families, they began a process of becoming a learning community. Okay, so they had some training, and the 28th of February of 2012, they had a general assembly with all the staff, all the parents, all the children, and they decided to to become a learning community, and they started dreaming about what kind of school they wanted and what they wanted to see, in their centers. So now we're going to see some of the results of that dream in 4 specific aspects. Okay, so as we said, there was no family involvement within the center. 1 year after becoming a learning community, this participation raised to 30%, 1 year. And 2 courses later, we see that it almost reached 80%. Okay. In these percentages, we also include those people who are like in this photo, doing the preparation, the training, preparing the exam for the certificate of the compulsory school, or others that go to literacy groups or language courses. Okay, because the school makes this the training depending on the parents' needs. So whether if they want to learn Spanish, Catalan, okay, or they do this preparation. So this 80% includes these courses also. Okay, this training. There are many types of participation. Okay, another problem they had was that the enrollments in this school were dropping a lot, very much. I mean, it was very the drop in the enrollment was very massive. So they tried to take other measures and do other actions that didn't work. After becoming a learning community, at the P3 level, which is the entry level at the school, we see the enrollment increasing 66%. Absenteeism. Sure about that. it's a difficult word. Absenteeism. Okay, so we see that in the morning the absenteeism rose 50%, and in the afternoon 60%. Okay, after becoming a learning community, we see this rates dropping to almost 0. Okay, in the skills, these are the results for the P5 level. Are children of 5 years of age, and the 4th grade are those around 10 years more or less. Yeah? So we see that in the P5, the 5 years old children, before becoming a learning community, the competencies in reading and writing, 21% passed had these basic competencies. After becoming 1 year after becoming learning community, this figure went to 80%, almost 4 times more than before. Okay, 80%. And regarding the global achievements of those of 4th grade, they went for 30% that passed the minimum level to 60%. You understand the difference? Because in 4th grade they also do other topics like English and other courses. So here's on reading and writing. Okay. So it doubled from 30 to 60%. Okay. So now I will invite Teresa, and she will begin with.
Now I'm focusing on our experience in a learning community in 2 successful educational actions. The first one as the volunteer at dialogical literacy gatherings. From now on I will use DLG, more easy. And so, what are the DLG? DLG consists in reading a discussion, a classic literature. Classic literature basically for 3 reasons. Firstly, because of the universal consensus of the values. Secondly, their values are timeless. And the last but not the least, very rich texts full of learning opportunities. How do we work daily in these gatherings? First of all, comment that the book is consensual among all participants. Okay? And in a normal DLG day, at the end of the gathering, we choose how many pages to read at home. Each participant read in her house and highlight some ideas, phrases, paragraphs to share with the rest. The day of the DLG, the participant reads a paragraph aloud and explains why choose this part. In the DLG, there are mothers who are difficulties to read, or mothers that never read a book before. But the methodology, egalitarian dialect, respect for turning taken, promotion of effort, and critical reading empower this woman and all participate. Now, this is an example of the configuration one normal day in these gatherings. Now we are going to see what it means for these mothers to participate in the gatherings from the perspective to linguistic and cultural skills. On one hand, to linguistic skills, the mothers explained in interviews how their acquisition of Spanish is speed up. The first example, Haifa said, the best thing in the DLG is that if you speak Spanish very well, or even if you don't, you can participate and everybody is listening and respecting you. Another example, other mother said, at the same time that we were discussing the readings, I was learning Spanish because I don't understand it, and people explained me with examples, and I remember the examples. They were very good examples. The DLG go beyond the complex acquisition of the language, but also breaks down barriers in many aspects of their daily lives. Now we look some examples. The participation of these mothers in the DLG is contributing to promote the educative, cultural, and social interactions. For example, Fatima said, we have such a good opportunity to share this space with different people. I never shared any spaces with Roman women, and now she helped me a lot with things of the school. In this, another example, Jana, my mother-in-law doesn't know how to read or write. When she saw that I read at home and I told her which was the book, she said that she also wanted to read this book. I said that first she had to learn to read, and now she's taking part of the literacy group. I helped her to learn more, so she will attend DLG next year. In that moment, we were reading Blood Wedding by Lorca. Well, another example how DLG contributing to promote the educative interaction is this. DLG helped me about language. Thanks to DLG, in January, I will start cursing course. When I know more Spanish, I would like to do something of nursing or high school. And finally, one example how the gatherings also impact the family dynamics is this. Fatima, she has a 4-year-old daughter, explains, before dinner, I take the book and read a paragraph, and you know what? Now my daughter also takes a history book, and both of us, we sit on a chair and each one reads her history. In short, as a volunteer, as a participant, I can say that it's an enriching experience for all. In my case, I did the master thesis about DLG, and for me, this woman made me believe in the utility of the research. And now, Liviu explained his experience about interactive groups.
Thank you, Teresa. Could also do it because both of us we both did interactive groups. Okay. So, what are interactive groups? interactive groups are one type of successful educational action that includes all the children in the classroom. They all participate. And this setting also favors another element that is important in interactive groups is that it involves community members. Okay, they come into the class and they work with the children, and this is very important because it can help to go through prejudices, because as we said before, we have people from different backgrounds and they're in the class there and they're all willing to share and learn with children. So they have people from other cultural backgrounds, and this helps them a lot. And one of the things that interactive groups do is to create egalitarian dialogue between the children and a collective share and use and share of knowledge. Okay, so how do we work? Well, the professor, which is the main authority always in the classroom, the professor prepares the activities. Now, so for example, the last course I was in English interactive groups with children of 9 years old. So normally the professor would have, today we have interactive groups, he would have activities in 4 blocks: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. Okay, so we are 4 volunteers, each of us in charge of one of these activities. Okay, so we will divide the class in 4 spaces. Okay, every volunteer at the table, and the groups, which are small and heterogeneous, in order to increase diversity and increase and diversify interactions, they will go from one group, from one table to another. Okay, what do we mean by heterogeneous? Well, apart from the cultural background that they can be from different cultural backgrounds, in Spain what has been done a lot is placing the children in categories: good students, bad students, and very good students, and separate them by levels. Okay? Well, in the interactive groups, we put them all together, all the different levels, and this is why we say that we increase and diversify the interactions. Okay? So, we take these groups, and children will move from one table to another. The duration of an interactive group would typically be 15 minutes. Okay? So, and at the end of the hour of the classroom, they all had passed through all the four activities, and they had performed the tasks. Okay, so as we said before, children create knowledge through dialogue and also establish supportive dynamics between themselves, which leads to a positive climate within the school also. And the volunteers, they have to ensure, their role is to ensure that the children are effectively working the tasks that have been given, and they are helping each other, and they're behaving the way they should. Okay, so for example, I remember one in English, if there was a word that they didn't know, I wouldn't tell them what that word was. I was like, okay, who wants to go and grab a dictionary? And one would go to the grab a dictionary, and then we explain what that word was. No, this is one of the examples. Okay, so interactive groups can be implemented at any level. Okay, early childhood, primary, secondary, and it can be used for any topic. Mathematics, languages, music. There's no limit to that. Okay, and now in order to, I wanted to present 2 examples from interactive groups to see how they work. We have this is an interactive group in mathematics. So here we have 2 students, 2 children, and one is helping another. They have this division problem to solve. Okay, so Manuel is helping Noah, but he's not giving him the answer, not by giving him the answer, but putting him, explaining him a real life example, no, from the class with children. So he teaches him how to do the division. Okay, and so here we see that the children doesn't know. he learns and he listens to the other children and learns from his peer, and the one who knows has to think how he can explain and transmit this knowledge to his colleague, and this way he's reassuring his knowledge and his skills. No, he's developing these skills. And this situation, it can change in another topic. It can be the other one explaining him, the problem they have to solve. Okay, so this is solidarity at work. And here's another example, but in this case, that to show that there is a collective learning happening in interactive groups. It's not that the volunteer comes there and gives them the answers and solves them the problem. That's nothing. Okay, so we see these children saying, they're asking him about the volunteers that come out of the group, and say, "You like them to come?" "Yes." "Why? Is it because they help you?" He says, "No, it's because we learn with them." And this is what we wanted to highlight. This phrase of this student, know that we all learn in interactive groups. And from my experience, at the beginning, I wasn't. I'm from Romania. I went to Spain and then to Catalonia. I didn't know the Catalan. I didn't have this proficiency, and I was doing interactive groups in Catalan with children that were like 11 or 12 years old. Yeah, so they knew much more than me, and I actually learned from them because there were words I didn't know, and I told them to explain them to me. It was very good for me and for them as well. No, but it helped me a lot within everything. It improves everything: your relationship with others, your work, because you're more confident than these children. They're so good. Okay, now and here we have some more photos illustrating some of the successful educational actions that we have at the learning communities. To illustrate this process, there is Teresa. Okay, so we would like to end the presentation of today with to sum up some of the benefits that the learning communities bring to adults and to students as well. So one of them is the educational and learning improvement. As we've seen, as a result of the implementing of these successful educational actions, we've seen how the results of the students improved dramatically. There is an appropriate environment to learn, solidarity, based on solidarity. As we've seen before, they help each other, they work together, they create a positive and a good ambient to learn, and this helps them to be more comfortable and to learn effectively more. Increasing their employment opportunities. This is related to parents. No, we mentioned the one who are doing the training, and they take the exams and they achieve the certificate of compulsory education, and that improves their employability, and at the same time empowers them, makes them feel more secure about themselves, and helping their children at home with homeworks. You know, because there are some that, they need to fresh up some of the knowledge they have in these courses, no? So then they can even help their children with what all that means to them, no? Because before they weren't capable of doing that. And that helps children learning and even more, and is helping to transform their expectations about the future and about what they want to do in their lives. For example, in this photo, we were mentioning the school summer they've done throughout the July. Well, they had a visit from a real doctor. Okay, so they all had these gears as they were doctors, and they learned to do surgery, and so that opens your mind, and shows you that there are so many things you can do in this world. And also what we are seeing is that learning communities make the process of learning more dynamic in more spaces and with more people. Okay, so we see that by introducing the community within school, they multiply the people and the spaces that they create where knowledge is being done and learning in this century. Okay, and that the family education is a successful tool to overcome educational and social inequalities of families from vulnerable groups. We've seen how in base of their necessities, where the school organizes the training they need, and that helps them to get a better job, or to get a job, or improve their expectations. And we also seen that these successful educational actions are transferable in different contexts, with the map that we've seen before, and in different contexts and countries. And we'd like to mention also, well, to show you this photo. This is in the same summer school, this month of July. And this gentleman here is a PhD student in nanobiotechnology, okay? He's Roma as well, and he went to do a workshop with the children about nanobiotechnology. Well, they done some experiments, no, and they learned what that was, and he learned an experiment. So we see that children like Manuel would probably, if they can't dream of going to university and becoming doctor, biotechnologists, they will never become that, probably, if they don't have this. And therefore, we like to end with this quote of Ramon Flecha. He was the leader of the Included project, the leader researcher, who says, "Dreams are possible. Transforming society without dreams is impossible." So, thank you very much. Kia ora.